Hello everyone, Josh here with Exis Games, bringing you guys another Awaken Cast Air video, and I'm sorry for my absence here on the channel. I've been very sick, so I haven't been really wanting to talk too much on the channel. I'm still a bit sick, if you can tell by my voice, so I do apologize if it's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. So, this recording started a bit later than I wanted to for some reason. We're currently on 10-8 Mythic story mode here. So the highest difficulty of story you can achieve right now currently. We've already beat this countless times, but this is one of the better places I like to use when I'm testing out certain units and certain team builds. And today we're going to be showcasing Marian Shadowblood, 3-star Awaken finally to get her 15% attack. It still irks me that it's on her 3rd dupe instead of her 1st dupe for a DPS unit to get her 15% attack. I don't know why that is, but it really sets her back. It makes her even more expensive as a build. We finally got William to 2-star Awaken to get his full trait, and he's 6-starred now. Max Glyph. This entire team is Max Glyphed. It's all 6-starred, and they all have dupes in them. Asgol completely maxed out everything. His level 60, Max Glyphed, of course, as we said, and he's got all of his dupes in him. So, these are going to be a couple units that you probably did not expect today, especially with Agzul. I know a lot of you are probably like, Asgol, what? Don't he suck? He's ugly, bro. No, he's fat and beautiful. He's a BBW. He's a big, he's a big, beautiful weapon. That is what Asgol is. He's a BBW. And there's a whole genre of adult entertainment just for him. Obviously, we're running Connor because he's just so universally good, as well as William. I'm just glad I was able to finally showcase William, because a lot of people have been asking me, what makes William so good? Why is he so good? You're always talking about William. You got William top 5 in your list, bro. What are you talking about? Well, you're going to see today a little bit about why William is good versus if he's not in the team, how some units actually regress by his absence. And, you know, 2 units right now that really love him in their team is Marian Shadowblood and Asgol. So it's really good that I have these 3 particular units that come from really 2 different teams, because Marion really belongs in the bleed team, but with the, you know, unveiling, if you will, of Avera a couple weeks back, her being introduced into the game rather, she kind of might have pushed Marion out of her own team, because Marion is by far the weaker of the units in the bleed team, which is kind of funny to think about, because she's a dark unit, she's epic, and she's newer, but she's not one of the better bleed units, and I'll explain that in a moment. And then we have Asgol over here, who is a dark elite who belongs in the poison team. However, his poisons aren't as, I would say, consistent as the other poison units in the team, therefore he really doesn't belong in his team either. So we got 2 outcasts, okay, 2 rejects, if you will, that just don't really belong in their own team. But with William and Connor, maybe they can make some kind of magic. We'll see here today. Now, I'm not expecting to actually beat 10-8 with this team, especially with how with the fact that I don't have optimal gear, sadly, for neither Marion or Asgol. For Asgol, I would really love to have Avarice set on him for the additional 10% damage per enemies, because his AoE is going to be tremendous with stacking onto his trait, kind of like Nathalia. Asgol is kind of like a budget Nathalia in a way, if you ask me, whereas Nathalia I feel is possibly a budget Hydrisia, if not better than Hydrisia, because her damage output is amazing. I might even do another video showcasing Nathalia with William. I'll take one of my friends, build up Nathalia's, and maybe showcase her. So if you guys and gals want to see that, do a hashtag Nathalia in the comment section below, and if I get, let's say, 20 people to do that, I'll try and make that video before the end of the beta, just so you guys can see how strong her skill 1 can be with the Night Lord himself, William, Sir William, if you will. So there's that. But yeah, back to Marion. A problem that Marion has is her attack grade is an A. She is a DPS unit that has bleeds. Bleeds scale to around 15% of your max attack. If her attack is only an A grade, she's not hitting really big on those bleeds like a Scarlet would be, or the new Avera, or even Helmar. So she's kind of lacking in the DPS department in a team that is built around DPS, and her skill 1 is only 50%. She will get a bunch of joint attacks off and could even possibly stack a bunch of bleeds on a single enemy, which is phenomenal. She also has a really good lifesteal on her skill 3 that lasts for a couple turns, which is also great. She also raises her own speed on her skill 2, which helps with her joint attack percentage. That's all good. The problem is she just does not output very much DPS in a DPS-centric team. So there is a big problem there. Now, William can kind of alleviate a lot of that problem because he's going to add an additional 80% damage to her skill 1. And with the fact that she's going to be doing a lot of joint attacks, and if you have her geared up good, she's going to be now doing the DPS that you wanted her to do originally. So now she's going to become a DPS machine with the aid of William. This is just part of why William is amazing. His trait alone makes some units that are average, above average, to even in some cases elite. And I don't mean elite by the rarity, but like elite in terms of just awesome. Same thing for Asgol. Asgol has a very underwhelming skill 2, where it scales to lost HP. From my testing, it looks like the HP scaling is like 10% damage for 10% HP lost. Somewhere around there. So it's not very great. However, his skill 1 can do a lot of damage alongside our boy William, especially with the way his trait is stacking per enemy killed. On top of the fact, his ultimate, that's an AoE, does a ton of damage as well. So now he has 2 useful skills instead of just 1. Not to mention, it gets even better. With the fact that Asgol was very weak in terms of being squishy, with his HP and defense being C grade, you would have to get a lot of flat HP and defensive rolls to really try and get that to not be so squishy anymore. And another issue with the 2 dark units, they don't have any type advantage. So they're not going to be, you know, tanking much hits. They're going to be taking neutral damage, which in their cases could be a lot of damage, unfortunately. It also means they're not going to be doing a ton of damage because they're not going to have a type advantage, which means they could still get deflected every once in a while, which is also a problem. So yes, there technically is a weakness inherently in this game, kind of in the background, for light and dark units because of the way the game functions with type advantage versus disadvantage. There is a bit, because when you're going against type disadvantage, you're going to build a team that has the element that doesn't have that issue. So you're basically alleviating your own weakness by running a team that has the elemental advantage on stages that you're trying to clear. So you kind of don't have that weakness anymore. But with light and dark units, you're always going to have that weakness. So keep that in the back of your minds, guys. We're doing a lot of analyzing and throwing a lot of information at you in today's video. So I do apologize. If you have to pause and soak any of this in, feel free to do so. Alright, so we've talked a lot about these units. Let's go ahead and show them in action, see if we can get anything good out of them. Again, keep in mind, guys and gals, they're not rocking 6-star gear. They're not rocking optimal sets. We're going to go over that at the end of the video, what type of set you should be really running, and some of the stats you should be looking for, and how to really make these units better than I'm showcasing them as today. And we've already went over some of the team builds that they could be in potentially, or they shouldn't be in anymore because, well, you know, they're rejected. They've been rejected from their own families. They're outcast. They're going rogue, and our boy William is there to pick up the scraps. Alright, so our boy Asgol. Again, the way he works is if you go down here to Asgol, he has a trait. Grants 10% attack per enemy defeated, max 10 stacks. That is 100% attack increase perma, ladies and gentlemen, after 10 enemies are killed. Now, what's really good about this, he doesn't have to be the unit that gets the kill. He does not have to get the kill at all. Anybody on your team can get a kill, and it's going to count for his stack. So it's very, very nice. That's why if you run him in a 3-wave stage of anything, boss fights, every 10 stages of tower, all of story mode, etc., etc., if he's in 3 waves, by the time you get to the 3rd wave, he's already going to be around 80% perma attack stacked. And you can stack that with an attack up buff, an attack up 2 buff, and even the 50% attack up spell. So you can do some crazy things with this guy. And you can see right here, we have the attack up 30% from our Connor already there. So he's already got a 30% attack up. He's going to get another he's going to get another 10% per enemy that's killed. So we're going to go ahead now and let's just showcase him on this first wave. Like I said, this isn't about beating the stage. It's just about showcasing some of the potential these units have. So let's go ahead and just pop the 50% attack up. And his ultimate does 150% damage to all enemies with a 100% chance to apply poison for 2 turns. So we're going to go ahead and pop that. And his skill 1, by the way, with William is so good because it has a built-in lifesteal. I meant to mention that earlier on, but I got sidetracked. I got carried away. So here we go. You can see that damage there. It's absolutely crazy. He did quite a bit of damage just now, and you can see here, he now has, I believe, 3 stacks. So there you go. Attack 10 plus 10%, max 10 stacks. He's already at 3 stacks. So now, with the attack 30%, he's now up to plus 60% attack currently, which is kind of nuts. Alright, so we're going to go ahead now and just use Marion's skill 2, speed her up. You can see there, she's not doing the best of damage in the world, but on her skill 1, it'll do a lot better because of William. Let's go and use her skill 1 now. You can see the damage increased drastically. It was doing like 800-900, maybe 1,000 there to like, you know, upwards of like mid 2Ks to possible 3Ks on her skill 1. So you guys and gals can see the influence that William already has. Look at that. 2K damage, easy. 14, 19, nothing. Nothing. Absolute crazy. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and since we still have the counterattack on 2 of our units, plus the defense up for 1 more turn on William, we're going to go ahead and use... We could use his joint attack on his skill 1, but we're just going to go ahead and use the skill 3 and do the AoE defense down. See if we got it. We got it on 2 units. We don't need to heal yet. We're still pretty good in health. We're going to save that shield for the boss stage because early on, we're not going to kill him in turn 1. And we're not running Mara or any other units for the CC. So he's going to hit us hard with his ult, which is just devastating. But Connor, in most cases, can tank it. Unfortunately, we already used the attack up because I wanted to showcase Asgol. But usually, I would save that for Connor's shield because his shield scales to attack. And his tank would become basically unbreakable for that hit. But now we don't have that luxury, so we're probably going to die. But you guys and gals are going to still get to see kind of him in action here. Alright. Now, we're going to go ahead and use skill 2 here. That does 100% damage. We haven't got to his skill 1 yet. We're going to save that for when he gets a little lower and we want to do a top up. So we're going to do this. Okay, 11.3k, but he's now up to 5 stacks. That's fine. And we're going to go ahead and use skill 1 up here, up top here. Okay. Yeah, see, that's a problem with Asgol, but as you can see, he's going to top himself up. You saw that big damage that he just did on a skill 1 off the counterattack because of William. Absolutely disgusting. But as you can see now, we need to heal up. So we're going to go ahead and pop this now. We're going to give our boy William the defense up again and give us all counterattack. We're going to go ahead and heal because we want to save that shield for next turn. And as you can see, I'm not wearing the best gear on my Connor anymore because I had to kind of spread my attack gear around to these other 2 units. So my Connor is a little bit, you know, nerfed at the moment compared to what he usually is. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to use Asgol skill 1 because, again, William's giving us that 80%. And if you look at the skill 1, it's 100% damage to an enemy with a 30% chance to apply 20 poison. I'm sorry, 20 poison. To apply poison for 2 turns, heals his character for 20% of damage dealt. So he has a built-in lifesteal, and with William, that 100% damage becomes 180. Now, you also got to stack on the fact of his base attack if he crits, so the crit damage, and the 6 stacks of attack up that he now has because, well, you know, he got 6 kills in. So, pretty crazy numbers that we're pulling out of a skill 1 here. And that's with no attack up buff from Connor right now or from the spell, which will be ready next turn. So let's go ahead and just pop this, see what we get. 11.8k. I'm cool with that. That's really solid. We're going to see if we can get a kill here. No, not quite. We're too weak. We just don't have the right gear, man. You might actually die. Yeah. So she did. Unfortunately, she was sacrificed. Like I said, she's just not... Even with William, who's really trying to pull a lot of, DPS out of her, she just does not have the numbers. Now, granted, I don't have the optimal gear on her, like Curse said, and she doesn't have the best gear rolls and all that, but even then, I feel like she just does not perform as a DPS for a unit that is supposed to be in a DPS team. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but it is the way it is, sadly. So we'll just have to kind of deal with it. Now, we don't need a top up yet. We're at 7%, but we still want to do, because right now our skill 2 is only doing 100%, plus around 10% per 10% HP lost. And as you can see, this enemy doesn't have very much, lost HP. So we're still going to get more out of the skill 1 by a lot, because like I said, it's going to be 180 at default with William, plus the 7 stacks right now of attack up. So, again, we're going to use skill 1. 9,300, not bad. Especially with no defense down. I'll take it. And then we're just going to go ahead and just do a joint attack here. Okay, that's fine. Ideally, you want to run William with units that it doesn't matter who joint attacks, they're going to do a lot of damage on their skill 1. Unfortunately, we are running Connor in this build. So you're not going to see those big numbers on the joint attacks, but it is what it is. Okay, so this is where we're probably going to die. But hopefully you got to see a little bit of what our boy Asgol can do, what Marion can do with William. You saw the difference there, where she was like almost doubling her attack potential on her skill 1. But, in my opinion, she just still feels very lackluster. But it is what it is. Okay, we got the defense down on everybody. Quick tip, by the way. Your, whatever unit that you're using when you use a spell, that unit's focus is being calculated into the spell you're actually using. So if you have really low focus and any of the enemies have, some kind of really decent resist, there's a chance they might actually resist your spell. So keep that in mind when you guys are placing spells and certain types of content. If you notice that happening a lot, maybe use that spell with a different unit. So there you go. Like I said, we could use the attack up right now on our Asgol, but we'll probably die to the Urion Blast. So just for the sake of trying to survive at least one additional turn to maybe get another hit off with Asgol here for the showcase, I'm going to go ahead and pop this on Connor, especially with his terrible gear that he's rocking right now, and get a better shield up. Now, I'm not saying that shield's going to still survive because, again, he was going from like 2,900, almost 3k attack from the gear I had on him before to, I think he's sitting around 2,300 now. So he's lost quite a bit of attack gear for me to do this video, to kind of share the love on gear. So we probably might still die with Urion's Blast. We'll have to see. But we're going to go ahead and use the ult this time and see if we can do any decent numbers. Okay, we got a 14k, a 15k, a 14k. I forgot what we got on the boss. It was still pretty good. Obviously, the shields was not as strong as they usually are, so our boy Asgol died, unfortunately. But you got to kind of see what he could do in this fight, so it wasn't all lost here. You guys can see the numbers were pretty decent for an elite unit that is, not very talked about, isn't very solid. In most people's cases, and he's going to be hard to build in most teams. But for what he is, as an elite, a unit that's easy to be built up, he did pretty good. He did pretty good. He had a nice little showcase. Now, if we had a better build-up Connor, obviously, and let's see what else we could run with him. In maybe like an AoE unit like a Zachary or Hydricia or Zatlix, that could kind of clean out some of these additional waves. He'd probably be a lot better for the boss fight itself. But unfortunately, we're fighting Urion, and Urion has an ultimate that just hits you right off the bat, and it hurts a lot. But you can see the damage difference here between an elite Agzul versus an epic dark Marion with 3 dupes in her. She's actually rocking better gear. And she has bleed on top of that, that she can spam because she attacks multiple times. And you see the damage difference. Now, granted, she doesn't have an AoE. Well, she does have an AoE in her ult. We didn't use it very much because she didn't have much bleeds. So it wouldn't have done anything. But still, that damage difference. Marion is just so underwhelming. So underwhelming. I've tried her out in so many different builds. I've tried her with friend units. I've tried everything I could to make her better. And it's just been depressing. It's been very depressing to say the least. But again, that was 10-8 of Mythic difficulty. So that was the hardest stage of story in the entire game right now. And we still did a pretty good showcase without running really any of the big hitters like a Cyrus or a Zachary or a Hydrisia or a Nathalia or, you know, a Zatlix. We're not running any of those units, and we still put on a pretty good showcase considering how underwhelming Marion really is and how really forgettable Agzul is. And by the way, I always call him Asgol or Agzul. I'm always going to get confused. So if you guys saw me like flipping back and forth throughout the video, it happens all the time. I'm just going to call him AG or just G. Like, what up, Big G? That's what we'll just call him, Big G. Big ugly mother, you know what? He belongs in a freaking Left 4 Dead video game. Or yeah, Left 4 Dead would be really good for him. But he's got a unique design, that's for sure. But as you can see, he's got a C health and a C defense and a C speed. So his internal stats are very bad. His crit rate is whatever. His attack is okay. At least it's an A. If it was a B, I wouldn't even be doing this video because he would be hopeless. He'd be just a lost cause. But since he does have an A attack, it's kind of on the lower end. You can still pull more attack from this guy with glyphs than you can with Zachary, which is kind of funny because his glyphs go to 794, which is additive to the base stat. It's not multiplied like your gear percentages. It works kind of like a flat attack increase. So he's getting 794 from his glyphs, add on to his base 1059. Whereas if we actually go to Zachary, Zachary is 1070, so it's 11 higher at base. However, the glyphs make up for it because it's 755. And even if you use percentages for both his gear and Agzul's gear, I still think that it's going to come out to be pretty close to each other, and maybe even one or the other might be higher depending on what your actual percentages roll, because your gear does go by the base stat, which is 170 versus 1059. So that 11 attack difference with percentages might eventually make Zachary come out on top by just a smidge, but even if then, it's going to be by a very unnoticeable amount. So they're very comparable in the attack, you know, the base attack department. However, Zachary does not have a built-in, you know, 100% perma attack buff modifier from his trait like our boy Big G does. So Big G can actually out DPS Zachary. However, Zachary has more health and he has the opportunity to have type advantage over any stage with green units. Whereas our boy Big G does not have that luxury. So again, it's going to come down to survivability between the two. And not to mention, Zachary just works because he has a better skill set initially without the setup that our boy Big G needs, because he needs several waves to really start, you know, hitting that higher gear, where Zach just works very well right from the start. That is why Zachary's still just a much better DPS and more well-rounded and can be useful in more modes opposed to a unit like, you know, our boy Big G. So it is a little unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, having a C health does not help his cause either in discussion, whereas Zach has a B, so he can scale better to percentages, whereas at C health, depending on if you're at the min or the max of that C ranking, he might benefit more from flat stats. So, you know, there's a lot of things that goes into it. It's going to be a part of the team build as well. And the fact that he has no type advantages Means he's not going to get a lot of those deflections off that a Zachary could in his environment of fighting a lot of wood units. So that's the difference really between those two. What really separates them. Yes, Big G has more damage potential, but Zachary has better setup and better survivability. So there you go, in case some of you are wondering what the comparisons are, in my opinion, between the two. And then you have, of course, Marion, who's just completely disappointing in all accounts. I really don't know what to do with her. She joined attacks a lot. It works. It's good. But it's 50%. So without William, her skill 1 is dog, you know what word. And it's not good. And the fact that she doesn't have an S grade attack sucks for her because she does bleeding, and bleeding is based on her max attack. She needs an S grade in attack. She's a dark epic, for crying out loud. So she needs a buff. She's got the skill set. She just needs a buff. She needs that A to be an S, and then I think she'll be okay. I think that's really her biggest downfall. And maybe increase that 50% to maybe like a 70 or 80 or something, because it's so low. And her ultimate is completely useless if she's not ran with another, with other bleed units. But right now, she doesn't even fit in her own bleed team because she's so underwhelming on the DPS side of things. A Scarlet's going to outperform her. An Avera is going to outperform her. Helmar is going to greatly outperform her. She has a good job there of providing you with lots of bleeds for a Helmar to nuke, but herself is holding the team back in the DPS department on a DPS team. So you can see the issues that we have here with her. She's got plenty of speed. Her health is fine at B. It's just her attack needs to go up to an S, or her modifiers on her skills need to go up higher. Or at the very least, give her a little bit higher of a modifier on her skill 1 and make that bleed guaranteed. Something. Do something for her to make her more useful with her kit. And her skill 2, with the chance to silence, it's kind of not as useful as you would think it would be either, because you're not building her to be a CC unit. You're building her for a bleed team. So maybe remove that and then buff some other things. I'll be fine with it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys and gals think in the comment section below. I just feel like the Marion is very underwhelming. Our boy Big G was a bit, you know, I don't want to say overwhelming. I would say he's a bit of, he was a dark horse going in for me, but he impressed me. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. He has slightly impressed me. He's not top 10 worthy. No. Is he top 20 worthy? No. But if we're going any further down the ladder, he might be in that discussion. He's pretty decent. He's an elite unit. What do you expect? He's a free-to-play unit. He's out there pulling out numbers that you guys and gals seen. It's just he lacks in the survivability department, like a Zachary, unfortunately. Zachary can survive. He can't. That's the problem. If you build a team around him that can survive and is built around, 2 to 3 waves, he's going to perform very well for you in the early goings of the game, and he's easy to build up. He's going to be easy to star up because he's an elite. It's just you have to work around his biggest glaring weakness. That HP and defense as a C is going to need flat stats to really improve on him. And his speed is also going to be an issue. But like I said, there's a lot of units out there that can kind of help with the speed issue. But yes, he will be very greedy on gear because of his, lack of survivability. You're going to have to really get some really strong rolls. You're going to have to get a really strong gear set. And I feel like he's going to be better suited on an avarice set. Right now, he's sitting on just, the prototypical crit and attack set, which, by the way, the crit set might be one of the worst sets in the entire game. A 4-piece set for only 20% crit is terrible, but it is kind of what we get at the start, and it's at one of the easier bosses to farm in the game, Tulpa. So a lot of us are using it now, but, at release, we'll slowly migrate away from that and use the better sets, like Curse set, which, with William, this could be a good set for him as well. He can keep topping himself up. But the problem is he's going to get 2-shotted and die in most cases. So even with his build and lifesteal, it's not usually enough. He needs better stats, or he needs a team that can protect him. So if you can pull that off, you guys and gals got yourself a very good DPS unit that has an AoE, that has a strong skill 1 with a William. If you don't have William, then it's going to be a little bit more of a downgrade on him. And then at that point, I would just run Zachary flat out and not even look this guy's threat. To be honest, I'll tell you this right now. If you do not have William, don't build Agzul. There's no point. There's no point. Because right now, his skill 2 is very underwhelming. His skill 3 is great, but it's not like you're going to be able to spam it. And it's going to take some setup. But his skill 1 can be very, very good, especially with the lifesteal on it. And if you build him with the right team, if you have William. No William, no Big G. That simple. So if anybody's watching this video and you're like, oh, Big G looks like he can put in some decent numbers. I have some 6-star gear. I have good rolls. I can make this guy a beast. If you do not have William, don't even waste the resources. This is a unit that lives and dies by the fact you got a William in your team because of the way he's built right now. He really needs that skill 1 to perform very well alongside his skill 3. But with William, things can happen, man. Mountains can be moved in this game. Okay? So, you know, that's his stats right now. 2878, 106.5. That is not a radio station that I listen to. 251% crit damage and then 166 speed. So his stat distribution for the video was fine. His HP and defense again are very, very low, but that's because this gear wasn't really intended for him. His 2878 attack should surprise a lot of you because you saw his damage numbers and he's not even at 2900 attack, but that's because his trait was amazing. And we didn't even showcase him using the 50% attack spell, which would make it even more impressive. So again, this guy's DPS potential is sky high, but you gotta somehow find a way to provide survivability or he's just useless. And again, he needs a lot of setup, so he needs to be in wave-based content. He can't be going into Gemini Dragon thinking he's gonna be a hoss. No, he's gonna go in the Gemini Dragon and get tossed. Okay? So that's our boy Big G, Agzul. I just wanted to take a moment to really showcase and talk about him because he was a pet project of mine throughout the beta that I want to eventually, you know, see kind of what he could do. I was impressed with what he could do. It's just, you need the right team. You need a William and some other parts that could really make this guy shine. He doesn't fit in his own team of Poison. Marion, just an utter disappointment. I talked her up all nice and high when we saw her on paper, but she doesn't work as good in practice. She's just one of those units that she looks good. She has a great design. She's got those assets that I know a lot of you appreciate. But when you take her out there onto the battlefield, she's a liability. She's like a lot of those units from Konosuba in the anime. Just completely useless. All talk, you know, all bark and no bite, unfortunately. So hopefully they give her a little bit of a buff. Hopefully this video details and showcases enough of why she needs a buff. And that's pretty much it for today's video. I just wanted to showcase, you know, those two units in particular with, of course, William, what William can do, kind of how to build him around other teams. Oh, by the way, Marian Shadowblood, she needs Curse set. That's her ideal set right now. She's just on all attack right now. Garbage attack gear that I had laying around. And I believe her attack was at 3489. Obviously, her crit damage is garbage because I don't have no crit damage on her. But, again, she doesn't want crit damage. She wants high attack to get the bleeds to work. And unfortunately, her bleed damage is garbage because I can't get her attack in the mid 4Ks like I could with other S-grade bleed units, which is unfortunate. And I can also do that with them and still get good crit damage. She is just too greedy for attack, and it's not good. So, yikes. Give her a buff, please. And then William can be ran on a lot of different gear. You can run him on defense. You can run him on HP and defense. You can run him on HP defense with some speed. Speed with HP, speed with defense. You can even throw some attack on him to make his skill 1 joint attack do some damage, or his AoE ult do some damage with the defense down. Maybe give him some focus for the defense down. There's a lot of different ways you can build your William, but it doesn't matter because his true potential is in his counterattack ability on a skill 2, and of course, his trait that gives you an additional 80% damage on any skill 1 of your allies, which is just phenomenal. So it makes him a prime candidate for the counterattack team, the poison team, the bleed teams, any team that wants to use a skill 1, a unit like Nathalia that can turn her skill 1 into an absolute nuclear warhead, which, again, if you guys want to see that, let me know by doing hashtag Nathalia in the comment section below. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. This is a huge, very long breakdown video. I've rambled on enough. Hope you guys got a lot of useful information from this. That's what I'm here to do in this beta test, and I'm trying to do it as best I can. And again, sorry for my voice. I'm just very sick. But I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, check notifications, and join me in the Discord in the description below. And follow me on Twitter at ExisPlays. Until next time, as always, peace.